Folks, we're going to get started in 1 minute. Thanks for your patience. Hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for signing up for today's workshop on retirement preparation and our 5 action steps. This is a really important topic, and we're excited to get started. What you're about to hear, that represents the best and brightest thinking from my team, and it's the collective wisdom of over 100 years experience. Many of you have attended my events in the past. You know that I like to be up front, tell you exactly what's going to happen here today, so there's no surprises. We have 3 basic parts to this presentation. In the first, we'll cover retirement action steps. Second, we'll show how this might personally affect you because there's many factors that must be considered. And then we're going to have Q&A at the end. Feel free to use the chat box at any time with your questions. We want to help you understand the importance of planning for retirement and the things that we believe are most important to get right before you're actually retired. I have everyone muted, and while my video's on, yours doesn't need to be. There's 2 things that won't happen today. 1, I'm not selling you anything, and 2, I cannot give you personal financial advice. Our goal is education today. Because we're prohibited from giving personal financial advice in a group setting like this, your participation today, it does entitle you to a free consult with me where we can talk about your unique circumstances and I can get the necessary personal information that I need in order to provide professional advice. I'll tell you how to schedule that later on. My firm, Turning Point Financial, we are registered with the SEC. They're our primary supervisor. We're known as a registered investment advisor. Our home office is in Frederick, Maryland. We work with federal employees, federal government contractors, and private sector employees from across the entire country. We're fiduciaries. That means we document that we put your best interests first. We get asked that a lot, and it is important. If you're looking for an advisor, it's a good question to ask. And that's because not every advisor out there is held to the fiduciary standard. You can also learn more about the firm and about me on our website, tpfinancial.com, and I'll have that in a later slide. I'm Kurt LaLomia, and I represent the Federal Benefits Program at Turning Point. My certifications and designations, they allow me to truly help you understand how these topics affect you financially. If you've attended before, you've heard me say, and you know, I come across as serious. I tend to be a serious guy. I'm serious about this stuff because I have a passion for it. As a former compliance officer, I saw a lot of things go wrong for people. This stuff is so important to get right because you only get one shot at it. Here's a high-level overview of what we're going to be covering today. Your nest egg, long-term care plan, taxes, investments, and a retirement budget. These are meaty topics, and you'll see that in a minute. But before we dive into those, I want to cover another list, a very short list of some of the most basic to-dos that should be handled now. First, meet with your benefits rep to understand what's required, the process, the timeline. Required at a minimum will be some paperwork by you, but have the benefits rep tell you the process to turn your pension on, to continue with health insurance, TSP rollover rules, and whatever else you can have them share with you. The idea is to eliminate any surprises. Next, meet with your financial advisor or start talking to some if you don't have one. They'll help you with the TSP rollover. They'll set up future income streams that you may need or want. And most importantly, they'll help you with the most tax efficient ways to take money out of your various accounts. Third, build that savings account. Everything takes longer than you think. My State Department client, she retired last November. She didn't see her first pension check until February or March. Fortunately, she had a healthy savings account to fall back on. Things happen, stuff gets lost, there's holidays, COVID seems to slow things down even more. Fourth, workshops like these, they're excellent ways to get yourself educated, check out advisors, and prepare for your glory days. Lastly, review your debts and your retirement budget. What will your expenses be when you retire, and how do all your sources of income meet those expenses? Again, our topics are meaty, and this list is simply some of the most basic to-dos to take care of now. We're going to dive right into it and talk about your nest egg. Are you certain that your family will not run out of money? What does your cash flow look like? Pension, Social Security, investment income. Maybe you have rental income. How about your spouse or partner? What do they have going on? Maybe you plan to work part-time in employment. That's your cash flow. When do you turn on Social Security? The answer to that's unique to each individual. Knowing all these numbers, your spouse and partner's number, along with the spending plan numbers, that's how people are able to retire and, more importantly, stay comfortably retired. That's not all. How much will you need to pay for all the things you need in your new life? Not just the same things you do now, but all the new and different things. Here, what we're talking about is your spending plan. And building your first one, that takes a little bit of work, but it's worth it. And without doing that exercise, you don't have a financial plan. You only have a financial wish. These are a lot of important questions. And this is where most people either put their head in the sand or they get help. You won't know if you're ready to retire without knowing what you'll need in this new phase of your life. We certainly know how to help you figure this out. And that's because we've done this many times and we've seen a lot of different things. Savings, investments, and math aside, we ask about your health, family longevity, plans to stay engaged, and we'll get into that later on. Your spouse or partner and their plans, your budget, your dreams, your goals, kids, grandkids. Look, the money's important, and not ever running out of money is really important. But we're equally concerned with your quality of life during retirement. Any advisor can tell you if you've saved enough, but we go deeper than most to ensure you live a rich and fulfilling life in retirement. Last week, I spoke to someone from NIH, and they asked me how much I thought they should have saved. This person was 57 years old. I couldn't give her a number, and I told her it really didn't matter. What I did say was, you could have savings of $3 million, but if you spend $1 million a year, it's not going to go very far. Someone else, they may have saved $800,000, and their retirement budget is $35,000 a year. That's obviously a much healthier state. I hope that makes sense to everyone. It's never too early to start planning, and to do it right, you have to dig into the details. Our process, it gives you clarity. You'll really know what to expect and how everything works together. That's what you make, what you spend, what you have, and what you need. Taxes, they're often ignored, and that can make a huge difference to your bottom line. Is your long-term care plan locked down? Notice I didn't say long-term care insurance. Insurance is a possible solution, but it's not the only one. We don't care so much about what your plan is, so long as you have a plan. Talking about aging, everyone needs an aging plan. We all need an aging plan because more than 70% of the population will experience a long-term care event. You may have heard this before, and if not, let me explain just what a long-term care event is. It's not being able to care for yourself, and that means you need help getting dressed. You need help getting around, your mobility. You need help eating. You can't feed yourself. And then there's bathing, toileting, and continence. When you can't do 2 of these 6 activities, that's considered a long-term care event. So what's your plan? Some will count on family. Some will self-fund. That's paying on your own as you go. Perhaps you have a nurse come to the house and you pay out of pocket. Some do have insurance. I mentioned long-term care insurance. That's one potential solution. Many, they simply don't know where to start or what their options are. This is a critically important subject that we'll all have to deal with sometime. And it's obviously better to do it before it happens. All I want is for you to think about it. Talk to your spouse or partner, your family, about what you want and come up with a plan to explore your options. If I can help and you want to take it further with me, send me an email. We can schedule a time to talk. I'll have my contact info at the end. Also, we're having a workshop on this topic in June, and I can send you the information if you'd like. Moving along, taxes are next. What's your strategy in retirement to ensure you're not overpaying the IRS? And hopefully, this is something you've always thought about and handled, and it's not a new retirement thing for you. Are you prepared for higher taxes? Contrary to the long-time belief that we'd all pay lower taxes during the retirement phase of our lives because our incomes are likely to be lower, it now seems that taxes could actually be higher. Higher because of the amount of debt the country's taken on. A debt today is a tax tomorrow. Everybody loves their stimulus and the added unemployment benefit perks. But some way, somehow, and someday, there has to be a day of reckoning. Higher taxes are what's being talked about now, and look for that to happen next year. I try not to get too caught up in the speculation or too worked up about, because until there's a final bill with real details of the impact on me and my family, it's just not worth worrying about too much. That said, there are steps you can take to manage this state of uncertainty. These steps include setting up multiple accounts that offer multiple options and flexibility to minimize your tax bill depending upon your circumstances. The types of accounts you want to have in place to manage the uncertainty are Roth and traditional IRAs, 529s, taxable brokerage accounts, HSA or health savings account, an emergency fund, and a standard savings account. Most of us agree it's okay to pay our fair share of taxes, but no one wants to leave the IRS a tip. We're working with a couple right now. They'd like to be able to retire in 5 to 7 years, and they originally came to us for a tax review. They wanted help with possible ways to pay less in taxes. As we got to know each other better, the couple decided they liked the idea of having everything looked at, and they hired us to do a financial plan. A close look at their spending, saving, and investing, it revealed too much spending and not enough saving and investing to be able to retire in 5 to 7 years. These folks, they live really well, perhaps too well. And if they're serious about retiring, some tweaks were needed, and we helped them with that. It's nothing major. The good news is we were able to help them develop a better spending and investment plan in order to be able to retire in 7 years. They thought their problem was the tax man, but it was actually their current lifestyle. And we did find ways to reduce their taxes. Getting advice on taxes before retirement, that can make or break fulfilling your vision. Talk to someone who can help you with long-term tax strategies. Tax laws, they change at warp speed, and we all need someone that keeps up with it. It's worth it. Roth conversions. That might be something you do or you've heard about. These allow you to lock in today's low tax rates. You're paying taxes once and never again. Having a Roth, that removes the uncertainty of future taxes. Best of all, they're invisible on your tax return in retirement. That means when you take money out of your Roth, it's not reported as income to the IRS. Money that comes out of your traditional TSP or traditional IRA, that's reportable income, that's taxable, that's taxed at ordinary income tax rates. The Roth conversion, that's simply converting or moving money from a traditional IRA to a Roth IRA and paying taxes on the amount you convert. Those taxes are paid when you file. If you or your spouse or partner have any old 401ks, 403bs, or IRAs, you can use those to jumpstart a Roth. Just to repeat, it involves paying taxes now in exchange for not having to pay tax on distributions later, like during retirement. What do you estimate the future tax on your RMDs? That's required minimum distributions. What do you estimate the tax on your RMDs to be if you don't convert? I convert a small amount every year. That's my plan. And I want my plan, not the government plan, which is RMDs. RMDs, again, required minimum distribution. Those start at age 72 for any traditional retirement plan. And that would be IRAs, TSP, 401k. We call this the government plan because it forces you to take a certain amount out each year, whether you need the money or not. That's how taxes are collected. RMDs are taxed. Roths, they don't have RMDs. You pay the taxes up front. In fact, you never need to take money out of a Roth, and some folks use it for estate planning. Nice way to pass along a tax-free benefit to your heirs. A rollover to your IRA from the TSP or a 401k, that can be a good idea. And that's because IRAs are designed to fit your own individual needs versus the needs of the vast workforce. And they usually offer more options and flexibility. There are differences in cost. You'll want to know about that. But by doing a rollover, you'll get individual expert advice, more investment options, and perhaps most importantly, more flexible distribution options. That means more ways to get your money out. Last part on taxes is the HSA or Health Savings Account. If you have one of those, build that up. Use that in retirement to pay for a variety of medical expenses. Think of it as a Roth IRA for medical expenses, only it's triple tax-free. It's a no-brainer. Money goes in pre-tax, grows tax-free, comes out tax-free as long as it's used for medical. And it gets even better. You can invest the money. Folks, I'm throwing a lot at you. This stuff's important. Hang with me. We're moving on to investments next. We're going to talk about distribution-focused strategies. What is a distribution-focused strategy? Well, our accumulation phase, it's coming to a close. You've spent your entire working career making TSP contributions and accumulating. It's now time to reverse the process, have that money pay you, and collect some distributions. How do we do that? How do we take money out? And what's the best income producing solution? Using income producing investments during retirement to create another income stream, it's one of the true purposes of why we've built up these accounts or accumulated each pay period. Now it's time to reverse that process and have our investments pay us. After you roll over the TSP or 401k to an IRA, we'll reconstruct it in a way to support the transfer of money each month to your bank account, just like a paycheck. We call these distribution-focused strategies, which are set up differently than contribution accounts that you've been using all these working years. Too many people, they don't reallocate into distribution-focused strategies at retirement, and that can end up being an irreversible mistake. These strategies, they offer safety and cash, as well as growth, because these accounts need to continue to grow too. We'll use different buckets within your rollover IRA, and that creates options in different places to draw our money from, depending upon what's happening. This is also how we manage something called the sequence of returns risk, which quite simply is the risk that taking money out has an adverse effect on our investments. Take money out when the market's down, that can have a dramatic impact on your retirement. And if the market's down for a prolonged period of time, you may run out of money. For example, last February and March, we all know people who panicked. They moved their money from their C, S, and I, the growth funds in the TSP. They moved it from those growth funds to the G fund. Some folks, they lost as much as 34%. Ouch. That's another bad timing mistake, likely with no strategy, no discipline, and probably no one to guide them. Maybe they needed the money, maybe they didn't. A better option when you need money during the distribution phase of life, in this sort of circumstance, it's to pull from your cash or income bucket and ride out any market madness or volatility. Unfortunately, that's not an option the TSP offers. It's much more complicated than this, but I think you get the idea. It's very important to have a distribution-focused strategy if you need to take money out of your account. What's a day in the life of retirement look like for you? This is where it all begins, and it's the most logical place to start, believe it or not. Everyone gets so caught up in the money, their retirement savings and rates of return, and that stuff is important, but lifestyle is too. You've saved and invested well, and what we're talking about here is your mental preparation. What's your day in the life look like? What's your plan to stay engaged, vibrant, healthy? How will you fill your days during retirement? Part-time work, volunteering, travel, family stuff, reading. These are some of the most common things we hear from our clients. Please recognize that you must do something. One key to longevity, that's staying engaged. What's your plan? What will you do? Our client, she believes she'll live to be 100, and it's in her family genes. She was a school teacher, and within 2 years of retirement. When we asked her about her plan and how she would fill her days, she was a deer in the headlights. She had no idea. She'd never thought about it. Her entire focus was putting her lifetime career as a teacher behind her. This person, they need a plan to remain engaged in some way. The good news, we helped her to get the wheels turning, and she started thinking about travel, a second home on the water. And then we helped her with specificity on how to do those things financially. Other folks, they plan to work, they enjoy it. Maybe it's different work or part-time work, but we help them build a future with some sort of professional engagement factored into their plan. Retirement dreams, that's where it all starts. Make sure you're thinking about this as well as the financial side of things. Moving along, it's my firm belief that everyone needs a financial plan. Regardless of your age, your net worth, your stage in life, whatever. Financial plans, they analyze every aspect of your financial life, your taxes, your insurance. That would be life insurance, homeowners insurance, and auto insurance. Financial plans analyze Social Security, the best time to take that, cash flow, your investments. And the plan aligns those areas with your goals. The lifetime value of plans that we do for our clients, it's priceless when you consider the direction, the vision, the clarity, and the peace of mind that it provides. Here's an example. Our client, they had a dream to retire at 50, and I love ambitious goals like that. I'm glad they asked for our help because they were not set up properly. Our biggest area of concerns was in their budget for their retirement home and having too much money allocated to retirement. We uncovered this through our planning process, and we were able to put them on a path to success. At the end of last year, they found and bought their forever home in Florida, and they used our guidelines on what they should spend, which was much less than what they had planned. These folks, they're good savers and investors, but because they didn't have a strategy and a plan before we met, they had to take money out of their retirement accounts for the down payment and home renovations. Had they engaged us years earlier, and had we planned for this goal, building up a non-retirement investment account, that would have been one recommendation. It doesn't matter how much you have or how much you've saved if you won't achieve your goals. It's all about making those goals reality and living a rich life. Today's key takeaways, that's your budget or your spending plan, your financial plan. Are you adequately prepared for your money to outlast you? And that might be 25 to 50 years. Be prepared for higher taxes and have a plan for it. The Roth, that's one possible answer. Your aging plan. Who will care for you when you no longer can? Find out if it's beneficial to roll over your TSP and create a distribution-focused strategy for future income. And think about what a day in the life looks like during the retirement phase of your life and what you'll do to stay engaged. This slide didn't turn out so well. It's the first time I've done this. This is a glossary of some of the commonly used terms from today's presentation. Anybody that wants a copy of the presentation, you'll get this slide as well, and you'll be able to read it more clearly. Obviously, we need to go to at least 2 pages with a larger font in the future, so we're going to skip over that. We're going to take some questions in just a minute, and you can put those in the chat. You can also email me your question if you prefer. Thank you for the questions that are already in there. And as a reminder, I can only go so far with your questions because I likely won't have enough information to offer personal financial advice. As I mentioned earlier, your participation today, that entitles you to a free consult with me. And there we can dive into your personal circumstances. Just shoot me an email. My address is here on the screen, kurt@tpfinancial.com. And we'll schedule that. And as part of that process, we're going to have you complete a brief questionnaire, no more than 5 minutes. And that will really give you an idea of just how ready you are for retirement and all the different areas of importance. So if you have a question, folks, pop it in the chat and we'll go through that. Folks, if you have a question, type that out in the Q&A field or chat box. I'd be happy to answer that for you. We have another one of these sessions next Tuesday, the 25th. It's a replay of this. I've also recorded this event. If you'd like a copy, let me know. Or if you know somebody that would benefit from this, let them know that we have another one next week. They can just shoot me an email to register and we'll get them signed up. Well, we don't seem to have any questions, so we're going to cut it short. If you have a question, you want to email me, you can. If you want to set up a meeting with me, you're welcome to. Again, here's my contact info. Thank you all for being here today. Be safe, stay healthy. Feel free to contact me and use me as a resource. As I said, we've recorded this. Feel free to share the fact that we have a recording available and another identical session next Tuesday, 25th. And you're welcome to invite family, friends, colleagues, neighbors. Have another workshop next month on aging and estate and financial planning, as I mentioned earlier. That's titled How Not to Leave a Mess for Your Family When Your Time is Up. We'll have some great stories about families that planned well and some that left a real mess when they died. Perhaps our most important workshop ever, and a topic that everyone can learn from. We'll be having speakers representing 3 distinct age groups, providing their perspectives. Shoot me an email if you'd like an invitation. It's free, it's educational, it's virtual. Well, thank you all very much. Have a great afternoon, and if I can be of help, please feel free to reach out. I hope this was beneficial for you today. Somebody's asking about the recording. Send me an email, please, and I will send you a copy of the recording. We have to clean it up, and I have to have it reviewed and approved by my compliance people. So an email to me gets you a copy of the recording. Probably have it to you early next week. Thanks again, folks. Have a great afternoon. Really appreciate your attendance today.